Well, the engineer was not trained properly, the rail cars were not strong enough, Sound Transit failed to ensure safety. The NTSB pointed fingers in many directions, citing an array of factors which caused the Amtrak train to tumble off the tracks and onto I-5, killing 3. Now, a state senator says it's time for more oversight, more eyes on rail projects. But others say that's not the state's responsibility.
We have to restore the confidence and public trust in these agencies before they resume the service.
Republican State Senator Steve Oban wants to create a state transportation oversight panel made up of members of the legislature who would scrutinize future rail projects. Oban says that oversight might have prevented the 2017 Amtrak derailment. Sound Transit, WashDOT, and Amtrak worked together to run the line, and the NTSB says they all fell short when it comes to ensuring safety. Oban says he'll ask that the agencies not resume service on the Point Defiance bypass where the crash happened until the legislature has a chance to establish the oversight panel.
I'm not calling for a special session. I'm taking the chance that these agencies will do the right thing and postpone service resumption until the legislature has an opportunity to establish this commission.
DuPont Mayor Mike Kortz supports Oban's proposal.
It is disappointing to realize that these agencies that we entrust with public safety failed so utterly. I can only assume that they would eagerly embrace the idea of external oversight to help restore public confidence in them.
So I spoke with Representative Jake Fye, a Democrat who chairs the House Transportation Committee. He says Senator Oban's oversight panel idea is an attempt to make a political point. Oban, a Republican, has been a frequent critic of Sound Transit and its spending. Representative Fye says there's little the state can do to change rail safety oversight since that's a federal responsibility. His proposal: make sure the feds handle this properly and respond to the NTSB recommendations. For its part, WashDOT says it's focused on those recommendations, including replacing the Talgo train cars, which the NTSB says were not strong enough to protect passengers. Back to you guys.